episode, I'd like to talk about some of my encounters with wild animals while I was working. Every job I had at the theme parks, whether it was Busch Gardens, Disney World, Silver Dollar City, we had to deal with wild animals at some point. Some of the things that would happen would catch you completely by surprise. You never knew what they were going to do. At Disney World, I didn't have to encounter them quite so much. As a photographer, I was out in the parks with the people. Outside of birds, I didn't see a whole lot of wild animals, but there were a couple times. Florida, of course, has gators everywhere. One of the things you can't do in Florida is get away from the gators. Not even Disney can get away from the gators. I can tell you there was more than one or two times if I would ride the train as a guest and you'd see the audio animatronic gators out there opening their mouths, and then you look and go, hey, wait a minute. That one's not an audio animatronic. That's a real gator. They were known for coming up on the banks occasionally, and even every now and then actually coming out into the rivers of America. Yes, even the rivers of America would sometimes get a gator in it. At Busch Gardens, of course, driving a big Land Rover safari truck around live animals, of course I was always dealing with them. And you would definitely see some strange things sometimes. We had one elephant that would like to occasionally take some of the straw, and instead of throwing it on its back, it'd like to throw it at us. We would also see the scimitar-horned Oryx, the animal that we like to call toasted marshmallows on leg. And the way the Oryx checks to see if the other Oryx is in heat, the male likes to drink the female's urine. Ew. Yeah, kind of gross. The rhinos, on the other hand, would do a couple other weird behaviors. A lot of people don't realize that a rhino is actually a fairly tame creature. At Busch Gardens, our rhinos were actually named. One of them, the rhino's name was Mike, which meant if we had a passenger or a navigator with us whose name was Mike, we didn't dare use their name if we were in the rhino area, because the rhinos would answer and they'd come running because they would hear their name and they'd think they're getting a treat. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you have a rhino at your door looking like a lapdog going, treat, treat, treat. Not a good thing. The other thing that they would do occasionally, if they got bothered or didn't like something, they would bump the side of your truck. I only got bumped once. I think it was because my navigator's name was Mike. But they would occasionally come up and they would knock the side of the truck and let you know that they were there and they knew you were there and okay, they had enough of you. But the place that I really had to deal with wild animals was Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City, of course, is in the middle of the Ozarks, and there's a lot of wildlife around there. Out in the train loop itself, out in the middle of the woods, we had a white squirrel out there that we would call Whitey. Yes, it was a white squirrel. No, it was not an albino. Beautiful white thing. I can't believe the owls never got it. The white squirrel was out there often enough. We could actually plant some popcorn and other food, and we could get it to come around and stand out by the tracks and see people. I actually had this one spiel that I would do occasionally if I knew the white squirrel might be out there. As we came around the backside of the loop, I would tell people, now folks, they have this rumor out here that if you see a white squirrel, well then something terrible is about to happen to you. So keep your eyes out. Now of course we all know that's just an old wives' tale and it doesn't have any truth to it. And wait a minute, was that a white squirrel? Ichabod, why are you sounding the train whistle? Why are we stopping here in the woods? And then, of course, right after that, we would get robbed. So it was a great little way to lead into that if it would work. But we also had lots of deer out there, fawns, all the time. I remember one time we had a big barn owl that it was standing on the side by the tracks, and this barn owl must have stood that high, probably more. I remember when it finally took off and flew, it was like a 6-foot wingspan. It was a huge bird. We would also occasionally have bobcats. I remember one morning I came in and I was doing our early morning work and I was out there with the blower blowing the train station and keeping everything clean, and all of a sudden looking, hey, here's this little stray cat out there. And I kind of go, what's a stray cat doing out here in the middle of the woods? Maybe been out catching mice. I was making my way closer and closer. I realized that this little stray kitty wasn't quite so little and it had no tail, and wait a minute. That's a bobcat, and it's looking right at me. Can we say a little scared? Especially when it starts running right at me. And I turn around and I look and all of a sudden it's gone. It had made a nest under our train station. That was a little nerve-wracking. Yeah, you never know what you're going to find out in those woods. That is a real confession from a theme park worker. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my stories of what it's like to deal with animals at the parks. Like I said, it was never a dull moment. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and share it. Be sure to leave a comment either below or on the side, depending upon if you're on your phone or computer. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.